Post-fight analysis of Adonis Stevenson and Badou Jack, a fantastic fight that took place in Toronto, Canada this past Saturday for the WBC and Lineal 175-pound light heavyweight world championships. The fight was adjudicated a draw. Two of the judges had it 114 apiece, and the third judge had awarded the fight to Badou Jack by a score of 115 to 113. Many seem appeased with the decision, thinking that a draw is a fair reflection. I felt that Adonis Stevenson had won the fight by 115 to 113, but a close competitive fight which had a great shifts of momentum from one fighter to the other, not only in halves but even during rounds. Had drama, ebbs and flows, had great body attack. It was a high quality affair between two high level operators. Okay, now early stages of the fight, particularly from rounds 1 to 4, Adonis had dominated the rounds by virtue of outworking Badou Jack. Adonis, a 40-year-old fighter, you got to remember, his methodology is pretty simple: knock out the opponent ASAP. You know, that is the montage of the Kronk gym, and Adonis had reiterated his desire to Badou Jack in all of the pre-fight build-up. So Badou was fully aware, and Badou is a cerebral fighter, extremely well disciplined. So Badou that was naturally circumspect. You know, both fighters have been knocked out early before. So in addressing the criticism that so many YouTubers and media personnel have sort of attached to Badou Jack, that he commenced his attacks too late from round 5. I disagree with that notion. It's almost suicidal, in my opinion, to engage with an 80% power puncher early on in the fight. If your strategy is to allow him to punch himself out and then rely on your youth and your superior conditioning and your sheer work rate to try and dominate the second half of the fight, and then rely on, you know, his fatigue and break him down and then knock him out, you know, that's a feasible strategy. But Adonis Stevenson was far too active, had his reflexes, had his wits about him, he was up on his toes. He was probing with his right hand, like a short sort of piston right hand. Not only is it there to maintain distance, but it's there to goad Badou Jack to try and lead him into throwing, you know, a straight right hand. And Adonis he employs that tactic. He likes to beat people to the punch. He knows he has an extraordinarily long reach, a reach, you know, which surpasses all of his opponents. So he's going to try and beat you to the punch. But Badou Jack was extremely wary of that. He didn't fall into the same trap as Andres Fonfaro. Adonis likes to take that half step back, knowing that his opponent's punch will either fall short because he's outside punching range, but when he fires his left hand, either simultaneously or in sort of proximity of when his opponents throw it, he's able to hit the target by virtue of, you know, having, you know, 4 or 5 inch reach advantage. So that was his tactic, try and set that trap to Badou, but Badou didn't fall into the trap. Extremely cautious, he was circumspect. His objective was to, no doubt, to try and cut the distance and engage with Adonis on the inside. But you can't really navigate to inside the pocket when your opponent is is either trying to lure you into a false sense of security, or he's just winging away speculative left hands and jabs. So either way, that's like trying to navigate a minefield. Adonis carries a one-punch knockout power with the left hand. 80% knockout percentage. So Adonis didn't land anything too significant up top, but he was alternating his attacks, bit head and body. So not a substantial amount of damaging shots were landed by Adonis, but by virtue of outworking Badou Jack, and Badou Jack hardly, his volume was down to about 15 punches around, maybe even less, or circa that figure. So clearly Adonis Stevenson had won the early rounds. But in the process, he had expanded, I think, a little bit too much energy. Maybe he felt super confident he would have disposed of Badou. But Badou has a great defense as well. He's a master with those arms of, shielding. He's anything from neck down, his torso, solar plexus, his livers, etc. He did a great job of that against, James DeGale, certainly inside the pocket. But notice round 5, if you take a freeze frame of Adonis early on and round 5, you'll notice the change in his arm position. His right arm was down. His body was sagging a little bit. He was definitely feeling the pace. Explosive punches generally do fatigue relatively quickly. And Adonis was he was extremely active in the first 4 rounds. The inactivity, I guess, doesn't help. He's only fought 6 rounds in maximum in like 2 years. So he may not have sustained much punishment, but I'm not sure how much that's helped his cardiovascular. But Adonis, his punch output would have definitely curtailed as well. He wasn't that active with with his jab. Badou Jack sensed that straight away, realizing that Adonis was starting to feel the pace of the fight. So Badou Jack inevitably started to cut the distance, come to mid-range to punch-in range, and he was firing jabs, he was firing lead right hands. But sadly, Badou Jack resorted to what I felt was premeditated low blows, and land them consecutively as well. He may have been a little bit annoyed with a borderline low punch from Adonis, which may have, instigated it, but he shouldn't have retaliated in that fashion. I've never seen Badou Jack resort to those scrupulous tactics before. But he landed it, from what I had gauged, 6 blatantly low blows that certainly warranted, at least 1 point deduction. But I think he only received 1 warning from the British referee. A lot of the criticism on the fight was more due to Adonis Stevenson smothering and excessive holding, according to a lot of these people, but they simply overlooked the low blows. And the Showtime commentary team of Paulie Malignaggi and Al Bernstein, I felt they did a shockingly bad judge. They simply don't call the action as much as they do. They missed so much of the action. I thought I got disillusioned listening to them. But anyway, from round 5, Badou Jack came back, cut the distance. I felt he won that round pretty big. Round 6, Adonis, he didn't have the energy to even move laterally, so he began to plant his feet. Badou Jack obliged, and the two of them began trading it out on the inside. And I think Badou Jack must have been absolutely shocked with the level of competence that Adonis had on the inside. You know, for somebody with a 78 reach, and I keep reiterating, he did an absolute number on Badou Jack on the inside. And this stems back to a lot of the unwarranted criticism on Adonis Stevenson. People get far too personal with their criticism for him, based on his past indiscretions and, you know, his negotiating tactics. People have felt that he's been ducking so many of the light heavyweights and not. He's fulfilling his mandatories, and so they naturally just have a disdain for him. I think he's one of the most criticized fighters in world boxing, and they underestimate his boxing prowess. They assume that he's just a one-dimensional fighter who just has a left hand and nothing more. You know, Badou Jack is one of the best inside fighters, one of the best body punchers, and Adonis Stevenson clearly exemplified that during certainly that exchange and on the 10th round, that he got the better of Badou Jack because he employs his right hook, and a lot of people seem to overlook that right hand. He's constantly digging into that body with the right hook. He doesn't get too square off in the pocket as well. He's digging in the uppercuts, the bolo punches as well. And he varies his attacks with that uppercut up top as well. Badou Jack, he tried to hold on to Adonis's left hand, but his right hand was free, and he was working the body, and he hurt Badou Jack on the 6th round. Began pushing him back as well and just unloading. Badou Jack came back 7th round, 8th round, 9th round. Adonis's punch output was depleting. Badou Jack was landing, good straight right hands up top, but he carries a bit of power with that left hook, and he fires that left hook. Actually, he can fire it from mid-range as well, and he doubles up with the right hand. Then he comes back with the jab. Then he fires, a right hand to the body. Really is a fantastic fighter, but he's not too greedy. He doesn't stay too much inside the pocket. Then he'll break range. He'll cover up, go back to a tight guard. Adonis shook up a little bit, certainly with one or two of the right hands. And some people were thinking that, Badou Jack was on the brink of stopping Adonis, because he'd been reeling off round after round. But in the 10th round, Adonis Stevenson, he came back with lead left hands to the body, the first one to the solar plexus, and Badou Jack was badly hurt. He sagged over immediately. Adonis sensed it, tried to pounce Badou Jack in sheer desperation, survival mode. Sagged over, tried to smother, tried to hold, tried to sort of spin around. Adonis was trying to free himself from Badou, applying a vice-like grip, pushed him back onto the ropes and landed another left hand, which, the Showtime commentary team totally overlooked. They were assuming Badou Jack was landing his right hands. Man, these guys need to be replaced by, they've had their time on commentary. Badou Jack, I don't know how he survived that round. Adonis won that round big, possibly even a 10-8 round. But to be fair, 10-9 is okay. Jack came back. Actually in the 11th round, Badou Jack still appeared to be hurt when he came out. he was still definitely feeling the effects. Adonis pounced. Thought it was probably his best opportunity of knocking out Jack with whatever, second wind, whatever energy reserves he managed to call upon. Launched a furious assault for the first minute and a half. Hurt Jack again after about 40-50 seconds. But maybe there wasn't that much left in Adonis' his punching power. Maybe he punched himself out at the 10th round, and you can't blame the guy, man. Boxing is unpredictable. Badou Jack probably didn't expect Adonis Stevenson to have still the reserves to launch a vicious attack and almost take him out. But Jack came back in the second half of the 11th round, and he mounted his own assault. The two of them were trading. Badou Jack's right hand was getting the better, and he began to, temporarily buzz Adonis. Great round. 12th round was ultimately decisive to the scoring of the fight. Adonis at this time he was spent. Badou Jack, I guess he'd sensed that Adonis was holding, trying to smother Badou's attacks. Not a great deal was landing. Badou Jack was probably prevented from trying to land effective clean punches, certainly from inside the pocket. So you couldn't really give the 12th round to Adonis. He didn't really do anything. He was just trying to survive. Did land a few punches on the inside, but nothing significantly on the punches. So you can the 12th round, yeah, you can definitely give to Badou Jack. So in conclusion, Badou Jack also had his 4th draw. Certainly the draws with Periban and James DeGale. And now this draw as well. And I think he had a draw with Lucien Boudet, which was overturned. So, is he unfortunate? Definitely a competitive, close fight of 2 rounds. But Adonis, may have definitely pulled out the 10th, and I think he pulled out the 11th for me. I thought he landed the harder punches, hurt Badou Jack. So, but based on effective aggression, I felt Adonis, won the 11th. Some people have that round for Badou Jack. Some people have it at 10-10, but no, Adonis Stevenson won that round for me. So he manages to hold on to his light heavyweight world title, and the credit to him, showed a lot of resilience, showed a lot of heart. Whereas last week we saw Jorge Linares quit after a body shot, and make no mistake, he definitely quitted. Joseph Diaz landed 20 liver shots to Gary Russell, and Gary Russell didn't capitulate. So then Adonis Stevenson took how many low blows, and we all know about fighters who've been complaining and sagging over with low blows and ultimately forcing the referee to stop fights. So credit to Adonis. He wasn't ready to give up his titles yet. And Badou Jack as well, he didn't get knocked out, he didn't get floored. It's probably the first Adonis opponent who hasn't been at least floored and able to survive the 12 rounds. So hopefully a rematch happens, and it happens, within 6 to 8 months. Both of them took a bit of a beating in this fight. So, and it was a good, it was a war of attrition in the end. So I hope the political and the financial stumbling blocks that are always prevailing in negotiating do not procrastinate when the rematch takes place. If it happens in Las Vegas, Adonis Stevenson will go over there. If he's able to, he doesn't have any visa restrictions. If not, no reason why the fight can't take place in Montreal, Adonis's backyard. But Badou Jack may be a little bit reluctant, given if he's adamant that he won the fight, then he may be reluctant to go back. So it's a difficult one to sort of say at the moment. But all in all, a fantastic fight. A draw. Yeah, you can't argue too much. There wasn't any sort of wide 1-1-7, 1-1-2s, home time. Actually, there was no significant home time bias. None of the judges had actually awarded Adonis winning the fight. Two of them had it a draw, so hence it was a majority decision draw. One of the judges had it for Badou Jack, so maybe he has the moral victory. But no, I was actually disappointed with Jack, a fighter I rate extremely highly. I don't know what his intentions were, with those blows. I felt they were premeditated. He may say he was retaliating to maybe something Adonis was doing on the inside. Adonis did land one or two sort of uppercuts to the body. One of them did look borderline. So maybe that, that annoyed him and he retaliated in that side. Okay, you can retaliate one, but he landed consecutive, and then he came back the next round and landed two more, and then the round after that landed another. So that's too excessive, and that's that's unwarranted and unjustified. And the referee did a terrible job, imposing only one warning. But anyway. That's my thoughts. Corruption in boxing. Transmission over.